Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Peyton was a very kind and giving person. At 15 years old, he sustained life-threatening injuries from a motorcycle accident that took his life. His family felt like Peyton would want to save others and made the decision to donate his organs. Because of their generosity, his organs saved a 2-year-old girl, a teenage boy, and others that were desperate in need of life-saving organs. Go to donorconnect.life and read about what it takes to become a donor. Did you know many people think that they're too old or not in good enough health to be a donor? Anyone can be a donor. If you were told that it could save the life for someone close to you, or even a stranger, would you donate? Finding out more on why you should become a donor is easy. DonorConnect.life can walk you through the process and what it takes to simply sign up. Check yes to become a donor when you renew your driver's license. Give hope. Heal life. DonorConnect.life.
Do you need new windows? Look, all glass pretty much looks the same to the naked eye, but if your windows aren't triple-coated, argon-filled and sealed double-pane glass, the cold is seeping in. You need to call Advanced Window Products. They use the highest quality glass and premium vinyl to create state-of-the-art windows and frames, and for 38 years, they build those frames right here in Utah. Custom crafted for Utah's climate. The best windows you can buy at prices 30 and 40% less than what the big companies charge because they cut out the middleman. They're the factory. They even give you a lifetime warranty, and right now as we head into spring, save an extra $2,500 off 10 windows or more. Custom windows that'll give your house a fresh new look and save you money on your heating and air conditioning. Advanced Windows offers 60-month 0% financing, even buy now, pay later, and an extra $2,500 off. Call for a quote, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Here's Ricky Meese.
Good speeds on all the Valley freeways. Salt Lake City PD wrapping up a crash at 1700 South, 900 West. Teens can get up to $200 with a Teen Learn and Earn account. Plus, continue earning rewards as they master the essentials of finance. More at cypresscu.com/teen. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Partly cloudy with a high of 64 expected today, but then the temperatures start to drop as the wind and rain roll in. High of 54 tomorrow, and then possible snow overnight into Friday. Friday's high is 43 degrees. Right now it's windy and 55 degrees. I'm Heather Peterson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Utah's top political experts break down the first 100 days of the new administration and discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
Welcome to Inside Sources, and I'm your host, Greg Skordas, and I'm here with Taylor Morgan, and we're going to talk about national and local concerns. And right now, it all rests on the Senate. And not just the Senate as a whole, on Senate Democrats. The U.S. House approved.
Oh boy, Greg, that can't be a good thing, a good way to start off the show. I'm a little bit nervous.
But we're talking about another government shutdown.
Of course we are.
Can you believe that?
It is, after all, Wednesday, which means on Friday there will be the threat of another looming government shutdown. Greg, same tune, same song. When are we ever going to get past government shutdowns? Will we ever?
Yeah, and this one's interesting, Taylor, because Senate Democrats have a huge role in this and are going to have to join with some Republicans to avoid this. And it's a lose-lose for the Democrats because either you don't support it and then there's a government shutdown and the Democrats are blamed, or you do support it and you're supporting an agenda and a president that you absolutely despise.
See, yeah, this is really tough because partisan politics in Congress is very different than partisan politics, I believe, really in any other setting. As we often say, partisanship in Congress is a team sport, mostly so perhaps in the House. The Senate, at least in the past, historically, has been a bit more diplomatic. We have seen traditionally more bipartisanship in the Senate than we have in the House, where the House is just an all-out partisan team battle, right? So 8 Senate Democrats control our fate, Greg.
Yeah, and here's what Senate Majority Leader John Thune said about Democratic senators have to vote in favor or they'll take the blame.
We've done our head count. I think we feel very comfortable that we will deliver a majority vote for this. The question is, can we get the 60-vote supermajority threshold that's necessary to pass it? And in order to do that, we need Democrats.
And like you said, they need 8 Democrats.
So this, of course, we have Senate Majority Leader, Senator John Thune here, trying to frame the narrative and trying to put pressure on Senate Democrats to vote in favor of the continuing resolution here to avoid the government shutdown. So, Greg, let me ask you this. As a Democrat, and one of the Democrats I trust and know well, and Greg, I've tried to talk you into not being a Democrat, and you just won't listen to me.
I can't do it.
You're a good Democrat. You're a very honest person, and so I want to ask you directly, putting you on the hot seat here as my co-host today. Are Democrats going to play ball? Is this real, or is this just political gamesmanship here by Majority Leader Thune?
You know, I'm looking at whether or not there's a way to play partly, whether there's a way to do a short-term continuing resolution instead of what the Republicans are looking at, which I think is something like 9 months. Democrats are saying, well, what about 30 days? I don't think that's going to fly. I always look at compromise. Is there a way to compromise? Is there a way that we can get something figured out? I don't think the Democrats can afford a government shutdown. I think at the end of the day, they absolutely have to come to the table. 8 of them probably will. You know, they're gonna bite the bullet and do what they think they need to do. Thune went a little bit further in talking about that support.
At this point, there's really one solution on the table. It keeps the government funded. It addresses the core issues I think a lot of Democrats care about in terms of programs that they want to have funded through the end of the year, and we think it represents the best solution at the moment.
Okay, so Senator Thune, to his credit, as the majority leader in the Senate, he has taken away essentially every other option from the Senate Democrats. He has forced them, I think, into a corner and given them, I think, a difficult choice. The choice these Senate Democrats have is either provide the votes for the Republican-authored continuing resolution or the federal government shuts down. That is their choice at this point.
And the continuing resolution makes perfect sense, except to the extent that some Democrats feel like it's buying into the Trump agenda. It's buying into the Elon Musk plan. And I think Democrats are saying, I just can't do that. But the big picture is the continuing resolution keeps the government running. They have all the time in the world to get their agenda and get other things done. I don't see why the Democrats are going to hang their hat on risking shutting down the government, because right now, and we're going to talk about this later, the public opinion of the Trump administration and what's going on and people sort of wavering a little bit. Democrats can't afford to have that pendulum shift back in favor of the Republicans since things are slowly trickling toward maybe we made a mistake with the administration. You can't afford to shut down the government and have everybody throw out everything that we've been concerned about with Republicans and say the Democrats just shut down the government.
Well, and I don't want to just sound like I am a cheerleader for Senator Thune here, but I do think what he has done in this continuing resolution and the way that it was authored, even on the House side with Speaker Mike Johnson, I believe it is somewhat masterful politically in a way because they have given congressional Democrats most of their priorities. in this CR in terms of the things Democrats wanted. Now, they didn't get everything, of course. There are a lot of important policies and priorities that were not funded or fully funded as part of the CR, but they have put Democrats into this place where the vote isn't about issues or funding priorities, and it's not about policies at this point. And we can get into some of the policies in more detail, but essentially at this point, it is about supporting Donald Trump. That is the choice that these 8 Senate Democrats are being forced to make. Is the CR isn't all bad, Greg. They didn't get everything they wanted. Some key things were left out. However, they are getting most of what they wanted, Democrats, I mean, in terms of funding and policies. The problem now is if they vote for it, they will be seen as being complicit or supportive of President Donald Trump's agenda.
So let me turn it back to you, Taylor. What do the Democrats do? I mean, what's going to happen? And by the way, we're up against it fairly quickly here. I mean, the government funding apparently runs out in 2 days.
Yeah. It's a tough question. From just a political strategist and consultant, the way I see this is I believe national Democrats have got to move on as a party. They have to give voters a reason to believe in and be excited about their positions and their candidates in the future. In the past, national Democrats have been fixated on just being anti-Trump. That clearly did not work. It may have worked in some down ballot races, Greg, but in terms of a national level political conversation, Democrats can no longer simply be the party against Donald Trump. And so the way I see it, these 8 Senate Democrats have got to reframe the narrative and get away from supporting Trump and instead be pro-issues, pro-policies, rather than just anti-Musk, anti-Trump. That will not work.
Yeah, anti-anything that Trump and Musk stand for. And
they need a positive narrative and a positive, constructive identity to give voters a reason to support them. They have everything going in their favor right now in terms of the midterm, Greg, but they have got to reconstruct their national identity.
It's interesting, Taylor, that Chuck Schumer hasn't really come out much. We don't know. He's sort of sitting back. Maybe he's stuck in this conundrum as well.
Yeah.
But I think Democrats are saying, okay, you're our minority leader. Tell us what to do. Is there a way to save this or salvage something? And maybe there's things going on behind closed doors that might avert this. But you'd think that Schumer would be a little more vocal and saying, hey, we need to get this done.
Right now, Donald Trump is not winning, Greg, with the economy and in the polling. Democrats, if they play this smart, I believe if they vote for this resolution, they avoid being blamed for a government shutdown.
Right.
They live to fight another day.
Yeah, and that's what they hopefully will do. We'll see. We're going to learn that in 2 days. When we come back on Inside Sources, while Congress works on finalizing this continuing resolution, the Department of Education is laying off roughly half of their staff. More on the dismantling of the Department of Education coming up next.
A special announcement from Dave's Bernina in Provo and St. George.
Dave's Bernina has incredible deals on school machine buybacks, and they won't last long.
Buy a Bernina 1008 for $399, and the Bernina 350 is only $499. Save 50% and more with a 2-year guarantee and free classes on these previously loved machines.
It's time to buy a better machine and get a Bernina.
Save up to 20% off all new Bernina machines.
Take advantage of 20% off Bernina and Burnett presser feet.
1.99% 48-month financing.
The Bernina 735 is discounted and includes thousands of dollars of free accessories while supplies last. Come see the Bernina 990, the most amazing revolutionary sewing machine in the world.
Specially priced and receive over $2,000 worth of free Bernina accessories.
In business since 1960. Dave's Bernina, 691 East St. George Boulevard and 2017 North 550 West in Provo.
Dave'sBernina.com.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, We're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Omada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy-downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Omada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
Are you in search of a fulfilling career where you can work on a team that provides you room to grow, learn, and thrive every day? Focus Engineering and Surveying is looking for individuals to join their team who take pride in the customer service they provide and have a passion for their clients to be successful. No experience in engineering, CAD design, or surveying? No problem. Focus will train those who fit their team culture for rewarding careers in surveying and CAD design. If you can align with the core ideology and the Focus team culture, if you're internally driven, team-oriented, client-focused, and love personal development and growth, Focus Engineering and Surveying is the place for you. Enjoy a positive work environment and paid internship opportunities, plus fantastic benefits like great health care with 80% employer-paid premium and HSA matched up to $200 per month, 401k, vacation, even annual performance bonuses. Start your journey towards your new and fulfilling career. Apply now at FocusUtah.com. That's FocusUtah.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Welcome to the A to Z savings event at AutoZone.
Yeah, happy to be here. Can I get some rotors?
Would you like brake pads with that?
How much are the brake pads?
Free with the rotors.
Free. Really?
Really, free.
Okay, I also need some oil.
Would you like an oil filter with that?
Yeah, how much is that?
Free with 5 quarts of oil.
Free? Really?
Really, free. It's part of the A to Z savings event.
You might as well call it A to free.
At AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Febreze.
It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze. La 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 la.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now. Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Jeff Kaplan. When you're online, that's sometimes a source of fourth-hand information. Somebody does the reporting. Another website Googles, they find it, they rewrite it, and by the time you read it, you know the old game telephone. But KSL is a source of primary information. We have reporters on the street. They're out in the field finding out the details. And the difference between online and KSL News Radio, night and day.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Roughly half of the staff working at the U.S. Department of Education are in the process of being laid off today as President Trump continues his push for a complete elimination of the agency. The new Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, says the workforce reductions are the first step in dismantling the entire department. That's according to Fox News reporting. Speaking to Fox News, Secretary McMahon said, quote, "The president's mandate as directed to me clearly is to shut down the Department of Education," end quote. Again, that is Secretary of Education Linda McMahon.
Whose claim to fame?
Whose claim to fame is?
World Wrestling Federation.
WWE, Greg.
That's who I want running my education department. But I guess if
it's a very popular sport, Greg Skordas.
I guess so.
Welcome back to Inside
Sources.
Sources.
Right.
You're here with Taylor Morgan and Greg Skordas. We're talking all things political and news of the day, what you need to know to have informed inside source conversations with your friends, family, and at the office. Greg, my first reaction, the thing that is at the top of my mind that I can't stop thinking about when it comes to the Department of Education is how this department is really so critical to Utah. Utah has the highest proportional number of higher ed students that rely on Pell Grants and subsidized federal student loans. Here in Utah, we have lower student debt for higher education proportionally, per capita. However, because we have big families and because a lot of our students enrolled in higher ed are doing so a little bit later in life after maybe completing church missions or other volunteer work, because of those reasons, we consume and rely more on federal Pell Grants and other funding and support coming from the U.S. Department of Education than any other state.
Yeah, and
this
I think
impacts us perhaps more than anyone else.
People don't appreciate what the Department of Education does. I think a lot of it is the misinformation that it sort of sets the agenda for K-12, and they sort of tell us what we're going to teach, and maybe we should give that back to the states. I completely understand that, but like you said, they administer federal student loans, and that probably affects at any given time millions of people.
Yeah.
I mean, all of us took out student loans at one time in our careers, and it saved us. It got me through college.
This has been a very popular political talking point that I have heard. Eliminating the U.S. Department of Education is the talking point, to be clear. I have heard this as a talking point in the very far right fringes of Utah political campaigns for a couple decades. Now, Greg, this is the kind of thing you would hear Republicans say only to party delegates at convention and then never utter again once they got to a primary election, right?
Yeah.
This is how essentially far right and how extreme that position has been for so long. However, this is a priority of President Donald Trump, is to eliminate the U.S. Department of Education. So, Greg, let me ask you this. As my favorite Democrat, is this about DEI? Is this about Common Core? Because let me tell you what, I cannot help my third grader with his math anymore, and I'm going to blame President Obama for that in Common Core. Is that fair, Greg? What is this really about?
I think to some extent it is. I think to some extent the department has gotten to be seen as too DEI, has gotten to be seen as too focused on issues and programs and things that maybe don't matter. And that's the same with all these agencies that Trump is trying to eliminate. They all just got too big, too out of control, and made too many dumb decisions. But throwing out the baby with the bathwater, which is exactly what the administration is doing, makes no sense. This department isn't that big, the Department of Education. They've laid off 1,315 staffers. Now they only have 2,000 left. So what, it had less than 4,000 members. It's been cut almost in half, and I think the rest is going to be cut back completely. But they're saying that the overhaul, I'm just reading this, the overhaul of the workforce will not impact free application for federal student aid forms, student aid, operations for students with disabilities, civil rights investigations, and formula funding for states.
Yeah.
But who's going to do that if you've cut back their? I mean, how can you keep those programs if you've got no employees to monitor?
Yeah, we know the Trump administration is claiming that these layoffs really are all about streamlining the agency and that Pell Grants and other student loans would not be affected. Let's listen to that.
We are already seeing funding levels being proposed that will not be able to meet the needs of students, that will slash those over 400,000 jobs that the federal government, education jobs, that the federal government pays for in communities all over this country. Every single state will be impacted by these cuts.
That was Becky Pringle, the president of the National Education Association. Greg, one of my new favorite names, Becky Pringle. I'm never going to forget her name now.
No.
Anyone who asks me at a party if I know who the president of the National Education Association is,
You're going to say
it's Becky Pringle.
There you go.
Of course. So right there, we heard from Ms. Pringle claiming that these cuts are indeed going to have a significant impact, especially when it comes to schools and students that are disadvantaged or underserved.
Hard to imagine 400,000 jobs, though. I mean, she must be talking about educators from all over, and administrators. I mean, she's looking at the big picture, which makes a lot of sense because as we started, we're talking about 1,300 staffers that are laid off. That's bad. but 400,000 educators whose budgets are going to be cut back by this program, it sounds some alarms.
Yeah. As you mentioned, the department has already terminated half of its workforce, 1,315 staffers. So as of now, the department only has 2,183 employees left. Greg, there are plans to terminate more of those employees.
So let me ask you this. You're at times a bit of a Trumper and go back
Hold
and forth
on
on
now.
that. I'm
Easy
sorry.
now.
Okay. But
it's true. It's fair.
You've been I guess to say at least willing to give him a chance, his agenda, and saying, let's write it out. Let's see what he's got in mind. What do you think is the motivation for slashing the Department of Education? Is it just to say we want the states to administer that, or is it to say you've become too, like you said earlier, DEI? I mean, of all the departments, that's one that's really being hacked up. There are a couple, but that one's pretty big.
Well, and it's unique, right? Because as I mentioned previously, the U.S. Department of Education has been a easy political target for maybe more far-right Republicans for decades, right? A lot of that has to do with programming or a perception of DEI, maybe some real, maybe a lot of false perceptions about things like Common Core math and other elements of curriculum essentially being dictated from on high, right? That's something I hear a lot about. I don't know, Greg. I think I struggle. Let's be clear. I'm conflicted. I struggle with President Trump and Elon Musk's approach. I have tried to give them the benefit of the doubt because, like a lot of Americans and a lot of Republicans who chose to vote for Trump this time around, who voted for Biden last time, I have no plans to run for political office, so I'm just going to put it out there, right? I have, I have no base here anymore. I have no political home because I voted for Biden, but then I voted for Trump. I voted for Trump just because I am so tired of the status quo. I'm tired of the stalemate in Congress when it comes to big issues like immigration and border security. Greg, I was so desperate for some kind of change.
So was America.
So was America. Yeah. You're right. Thank you. Donald Trump, first president in 20 years to win, Republican presidential candidate in 20 years to win the popular vote and the Electoral College. Right. Like a lot of Americans, my thought process was, we have got to change what we're doing. And Donald Trump, to me, was the choice when it came to really blowing things up, in a sense, metaphorically, of course, to get change.
And to his credit, if he deserves any at all, he had an agenda to shrink government, to go after the Department of Education, and the voters supported him. Yeah. The voters supported him. Yeah. So and he's carrying out his agenda. I mean, he's tariffs, closing the borders, shutting down Department of Education, shutting down USAID. I mean, he's not coming out of the woodwork with these things. These are things that he made clear at the beginning. People are now looking back going, well, wait a minute. We didn't actually expect him to go through with this. Well, what did you think he was going to do?
I know.
I
voted.
Of us were going, you can't vote for this man.
I voted for change. He was seen as an agent of change. And, Greg, we have full-blown chaos in a lot of ways.
Sure we do.
We are all getting what we voted for in one way or another, even those of us who did not vote for Trump. That's my opinion. We're going to continue the conversation about President Trump's administration coming up after the break. And we are going to discuss this, Greg. This is wild. The Trump administration is planning to release a new app that will allow migrants here in the U.S. to self-deport. We'll talk all about this coming up right after the break.
Good afternoon. It's 1:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Chaleos. KSL's top story this hour. A Wyoming man is facing hate crime charges after police say he threatened employees involved with the Park City Resort strikes and the officer investigating the case. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
A probable cause statement says someone involved with the strike got an angry phone call from a Wyoming man, later identified as Calvin Spencer Raw. He reportedly threatened them, saying he would travel to the resort and cause harm to those involved in the strike. A Park City police officer assigned to investigate then says in the probable cause statement that Raw went on a, quote, race-based tirade, harassing the officer with racial slurs. Raw is accused of making 4 phone calls to the officer over the next few days, demanding to talk to him and making more threats.
He is not in police custody, but has been issued a summons to appear in a Utah courtroom in April. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. A brief federal court hearing ended without resolution today. Mahmoud Khalil is a permanent U.S. resident whom the Trump administration aims to deport for taking part in anti-Israel protests at Columbia University.
Mahmoud Khalil's attorneys say the Columbia University student was taken into custody by immigration enforcement officers last Saturday. He's since been moved to a detention facility in Louisiana. Administration officials argue in his on-campus protests, Khalil advocated for Hamas. Outside the Manhattan Federal Courthouse, activists clamored for his release.
If they can strip the green card from a lawful permanent resident, they can do whatever they want to a citizen.
Speaking in Albany, White House border czar Tom Homan put it this way.
We consider him a national security threat.
Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Taking a look at the markets at the close, the Dow was down by 22 points, sitting at 41,412. S&P is up by 34, and the Nasdaq up to 207 points. Coming up, windy today, stormy tomorrow. We'll check the forecast, get you an update. KSL News Time, 1:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Do you have some money in a savings account? If you do, I want to suggest that you earn more money on that money by transferring your savings account over to UCCU.
Utah Community Credit Union is offering high-rate savings options with yields up to 5.05%. That is a lot higher than any savings account.
Right, so your average savings account is 0.5%, 0.5%, but UCCU has these 9-month savings certificates at a whopping 5.05% rate of return.
Now, savings certificates, like a savings account, they're great ways to earn a safe return on your money, but the difference is a savings account, you deposit, you withdraw, but with a savings certificate, you just make the deposit and you let your money earn some money for you.
You're going to be saving so much money at UCCU.
5.05%, that's more than 5 times higher than a standard savings account.
Just go to uccu.com, select a high-yield savings option, and supercharge your savings.
At Utah Community Credit Union, you're going to love where you bank.
Things are just better when you switch to Cricket. The sun shines a little brighter. Happy music starts randomly playing. Best of all, you can get iPhone 13 for just $29.99. With the ultra-bright Super Retina display and up to 19 hours of video playback, all on Cricket's super-fast 5G network. See? Isn't that better? Smile, you're on Cricket.
Requires new account imported on $60 plan. First service charge and tax due at sale. $25 activation fee. Terms and restrictions apply. Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. See store for details.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like fences. A house with a big yard and a white picket fence was always the dream. But then you saw the price to install a fence and you're wondering if the color is driving the price up. Nobody ever dreams of a beige or a gray picket fence, right? So maybe those fences are cheaper. But no, they're not. Then you remember that switching your home and auto to Progressive could save you hundreds and make all your dreams of a fence come true. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states.
At JCW's, we think tipping might be getting a little out of hand. Like when you're asked to tip at the register before you've even been served. Or when you're at the yogurt shop and find yourself serving yourself. And don't even get us started on frosted tips making a comeback. That's why at JCW's, when you pay for a 3rd-pound ranch bacon cheeseburger, that's what you pay. And no one at the register is going to stare longingly at you while you awkwardly maneuver through the tip screen for food you don't even have yet. Honestly, we're just happy to see you at any of our 5 locations in Provo, South Jordan, Lehigh, Harriman, and American Fork. So come on in and enjoy some quality time and great food with family and friends. And we promise, we won't be pushing you for a tip.
Hey, this is Chris with JCW's, and we just want to say thank you, and especially to our loyal customers. We want you to know that at JCW's, your business is all the tip we need. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Ricky, we have an emergency traffic situation.
We do. It's a serious accident in Tooele County, eastbound I-80 approaching the SR-202 junction. This is possibly a rolled vehicle in the median, and we have emergency crews at the scene blocking the left lane of travel, and delays are building quickly. GoPave Utah is your gold standard for parking lot paving and repairs. Contact GoPave Utah today. GoPaveUtah.com. That's GoPaveUtah.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Enjoy the warm temperatures now. Things are changing. That breeze out there bringing in a storm. It's going to be much cooler tomorrow. The high will drop by a good 10 degrees and a 90% chance of a rain-snow mix. Friday, 20% chance of showers. Not quite as warm as tomorrow, even 43 degrees for a high. Right now, 56 degrees downtown. I'm Maria Chaleos from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Utah's top political experts break down the first 100 days of the new administration and discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
During the Biden administration, migrants coming to the United States could schedule appointments at points of entry through an app called CBP One, CBP meaning Customs and Border Protection. When President Trump took over, he quickly got rid of that feature. Now the administration is set to release a new app, not for immigration, but for deportation. The new CBP Home app will launch a new self-deportation feature. Now, this one is troubling to me, Taylor, as from a criminal defense lawyer perspective, which is snitch yourself off. It's the whole, I'm here illegally, what can I do about it now? I'm going to self-deport. But there's a hook, and I can understand a little bit about why they're doing this. They're saying, look, if you ever do want to come into this country legally, then report now. And admit that you're here illegally, allow us to deport you, and then we can go through the process of making a legal entry into the United States.
Okay,
because if we have to deport you, you're never coming back.
It sounds wonderful in theory, though.
Sure.
How much confidence should these folks have in that process? Now, let me maybe lay down a few basic points here before we get into this conversation, Greg. Number one, our economy is dependent upon migrant labor, and we need migrants, and they should come here legally. I'll be clear. That's another point. But we absolutely need and depend on migrant labor in this country. And we have got to figure out a modern, technologically robust, reliable process to allow people to immigrate legally. So I like this app, Greg. I don't like that we have eliminated its use for the migration side, yet we are now fully pushing it for the deportation side. We need both. We need both sides of this coin in this country to have a secure border and to have a real immigration policy.
You're preaching to the choir.
Okay.
And part of the problem, though, is that immigration was such a huge, maybe the top issue in the last election.
Yes.
I mean, the economy, yes. Biden work on the economy, awful, at least in terms of the message that was given to the public. But the whole immigration and the problems at the border and Biden seemingly opening things up and the message from the Republicans and the far right was they're bringing criminals, they're bringing people who are going to take advantage of your children, and they're going to take your jobs, they're going to do this and that, which hardly any of which was true. But the public got upset and they said, you know what, they're right. These immigrants are coming in and they're doing things that they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
They're eating our cats and dogs. And they're and if you think about it, this is an international phenomenon.
Yeah.
I mean, there are not very many European or Eastern European countries that aren't also concerned about closing off their borders. So and they're electing far right leaders with the idea of stopping immigration just as we did here. I just don't know that this is the right way to do it. And you're right. If Trump got his way and we deported however many million people are here illegally, who's going to do half the work? I mean, I just had a new roof put on my house. I had new siding put on my house. I had solar put on my house. And I would say that 90% of the people that showed up and did that work and did very, very good work didn't communicate in English.
Yeah.
And I don't know their status, and I don't mean to comment on it, but my guess is a lot of them are here illegally. But they sure did great work.
Yeah. Well, Greg, our employment rate right now in the United States of America is hovering just around 4%. We're in a great place when it comes to unemployment.
Right.
We need labor, and we specifically need legal migrant labor to fill a lot of jobs that Americans do not want. I just can't be more clear about that. I believe in legal immigration, but my fear with the Trump administration, Greg, is that it is one thing to deport convicted criminals. I'm a big fan of that. I love that every day of the week. And when we say convicted criminals, I'm not just talking about the act of coming across the border illegally. I'm talking about a convicted criminal who has done something and been convicted of doing something beyond just coming here legally. I'm not saying it's okay to come here illegally. I'm just saying let's deport those people every day of the week. But those people who have just come here illegally, upon whom we depend to have a strong economy and to have a growing economy, we have got to find a way to rather than scaring them all and driving them further underground into the shadows, we need to find a way for them to become legitimate participants in our economy.
Another example of how the sort of more liberal thinking Democrats got us in trouble, because we've always had it in place, Taylor, that if you're here illegally and you commit a crime, you're going to be deported.
Yeah.
The problem was the implementation of that. So we had people here. They were committing crimes, and so they were deportable, and they would be put on a list, and they would be released on bail while they're waiting to be deported.
Yeah.
And then they wouldn't show up.
Right,
Or,
of course.
Or they would just re-enter the country. And we were just doing it wrong. So we've always had laws in place, at least in my short 43 years practicing law, that if you're here illegally and you commit certain crimes, including some crimes that are misdemeanors, if it involves domestic violence, there are certain crimes that make you deportable right now.
Yeah.
We just weren't enforcing it. And had we done that, I don't think we'd be having this conversation.
Yeah.
Because it got to the point where we had so many people that were it was a revolving door. You just come right back into the country. Nothing was happening. Enforcement was the problem, and we weren't doing it. And so rather than up enforcement, we're upping get out of the country now and surrender yourself to deportation, or you're never going to be able to come into our country legally.
Yeah. I want to draw upon your 43 years experience as an attorney on this topic specifically, Greg, because we're talking about the CBP One app. This is Customs and Border Protection One app. This is an app that the Biden administration introduced in order to allow migrants to schedule appointments at the border. Now, the Trump administration has removed that function of the app, but they are allowing illegal immigrants to use that app to self-deport. So, Greg, my question to you as an attorney is, are there any legal protections or securities for those who would self-report to deport on this app, or is that just a bad idea for them?
Well, I think that, and I haven't seen how it's really written up, but I assume that there's some King's X. I'm assuming there's some grant of immunity, like you self-report and we will deport you, but we won't count that as a strike against you for entering our country illegally.
Yeah.
In other words, you have some level of amnesty, I guess is what I would call it.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen it exactly, but what we're looking at here is giving. I'm quoting the Department of Homeland Security, Secretary. The CBP Home app gives aliens the option to leave now and self-deport, so they may still have the opportunity to return legally in the future and live the American dream. If they don't, and we find them, we will deport them, and they will never return. I think that's the message that Trump wants.
And see, in theory, I like that.
Sure.
But here's what I would like to do. I'd like to take it a step further and say, okay, if you self-report and you are not a convicted criminal other than coming here illegally, if you have a job, and if you start paying taxes, and if you become a full participant in our economy, then guess what, Greg? Maybe we let them stay, keep working a job that most Americans don't want, and let them start paying taxes. Why do we have to deport them?
I think you just defined the Biden administration CBP.
Oh, come on. No,
I'm
I
sorry.
did not. Greg, no, don't put that on me. No.
Well, maybe Biden had something here. When we come back on Inside Sources, of the nearly 100 executive orders President Trump has signed since beginning his second term, which ones do Utahns tend to like the most? Which ones do they like the least? We'll discuss a new poll after this break.
If you're trying to decide which gutter protection to put on your home, don't just ask how they'll handle leaves. Ask how they'll handle ice. Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and that's right, ice. See, plenty of gutter guards are good at keeping out leaves, but most are made with flimsy materials that can bend, buckle, and break under the weight of too much ice. Kind of a big problem in an icy state like Utah, right? At RGS Exteriors, our exclusive gutter protection systems are built Utah tough. They're made with premium strength materials that hold up to 1,200 pounds of ice per square foot. Simply put, they're not going to budge. Our gutter guards are also certified to handle hurricane-level winds and rain. Mother Nature can't damage them. Guaranteed. Utah Tough Products. That's the RGS way. For a free estimate, call 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's rgsexteriors.com or 801-280-3110.
Emergency traffic on KSL News Radio, brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Right now in Tooele County, eastbound I-80 is all jammed up due to a serious injury accident near the 202 junction. It's just before that. You'll see only a right lane of traffic open on the eastbound side of I-80 with heavy delays almost back to Lake Point. Then on the westbound side, emergency crews are blocking off the inside left lane. Since the car is in the median, they want to have access to that left lane and shoulder to gain access to the crash should it be needed. So all traffic westbound I-80 must get by in the center and right lane. But if you're traveling eastbound I-80, be prepared to merge over into that right lane of travel. Wasatch Front businesses and property managers. GoPave Utah provides all asphalt repairs for your parking. For patching and paving along the Wasatch Front, contact GoPave Utah. GoPave Utah. That's GoPaveUtah.com. Ricky Neese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our US-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit ConsumerCellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
What if your business could see beyond what is and into what can be? What if you could create more impact in every decision? What if you had a partner as visionary as you are? With Bank of America, you get access to our trusted experts, real-time insights, and digital tools. So whether you run a local shop or a global enterprise, you're backed by business solutions to make every move matter. What would you like the power to do? Find out how at bankofamerica.com/banking for business. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank sponsor of FIFA World Cup 2026.
What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud Phone System. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm? I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business calm at ooma.com/radio.
Meanwhile, at Xfinity. So, influencer life going well?
Oh, yeah. I'm up to 32 followers.
Oh, that's something.
Yeah, posting my tap dancing videos is easier than ever because we engineered Xfinity Internet with 99.99% network reliability.
Plus, Xfinity Mobile with Wi-Fi Power Boost gives you ultra-fast Wi-Fi at home and on the go. But wait, tap dancing? You don't tap dance.
Hey, what I lack in skill, I make up with passion.
Do more of what you love and love how fast you do it with Xfinity Internet and mobile.
And now through April 21st, get 300 megabit Xfinity Internet and one unlimited mobile line together for $25 a month for 1 year. And save $1,000 in your first year over Verizon and AT&T. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Savings compared to Verizon 5G Internet plus one unlimited welcome line and AT&T Internet 300 plus one unlimited starter SL line. Xfinity Internet required. Actual speeds vary. Reduced speeds after 30 gigabits of usage per line. Data thresholds and actual savings vary.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Since re-entering office on January 20th, President Donald Trump has signed, wait for it, Greg, buckle up, he has signed 83 executive orders. Between that and hundreds of other executive actions, many Americans have voiced concerns about the executive branch doing too much and not allowing Congress the opportunity to do more. Greg, I have a lot of jokes about that statement right there. It is true. That is how Americans feel. Suddenly, we expect Congress to actually do more because the president is doing too much. Well, here in Utah, however, new polling shows that voters are more supportive of President Trump's actions than the rest of the country. So, what executive orders do Utahns like the most and the least?
Yeah, it was an interesting poll, and I was looking at some of these, and not many are a big surprise. I would say this, Taylor, about the 83 executive orders. Trump had 4 years after he left office to seethe and to plan.
Just to make notes and make a list?
Notes and said, when I'm king again, I'm going to do these. So I think these are executive orders that have been thought out. I don't think anything just came to his mind. But these are things that had been sat on and thought out, and I think at least half these executive orders were written a year ago, in case he won, and because he when he hit the ground, he hit it running hard.
Greg, do you think in your legal experience, you have a wealth of legal experience over 4 decades, not to age you, but you have all the legal experience one could hope for. You are KSL's legal analyst, so you truly are the expert here. Not to totally derail this conversation, because I do want to talk about specifically which executive orders by President Trump are the most popular and the least popular here in Utah. But before we get there, just a very general overview question, Greg. Is Donald Trump in his lane constitutionally, legally?
Not for a minute. I mean, not at all, except for this. If you're outside your lane and there's no police officer behind you, then are you in your lane or not? You know what I mean?
That's spoken like a defense lawyer.
Right. So, no, he's not in his lane, but Congress isn't keeping him honest. Congress isn't standing up and saying, wait a minute.
Yeah.
It's our job to decide. You can set up agencies, but we fund them. You can't just cut jobs. We have the power of the purse.
Yeah.
And Congress isn't doing anything. And the courts are doing what they can.
Yes.
But if you see every time a federal judge issues a ruling striking down one of his executive orders, boy, that judge is looked at as we need to impeach him. He or she is not.
3 justices of the U.S. Supreme Court, we should note, were appointed by President Trump.
Sure.
Yet, on some big questions, the Supreme Court has ruled against the administration. I think that's important, worth noting. I will say Congress is, even in our previous conversation, we led off the show talking about these 8 Senate Democrats who like the continuing resolution to continue funding the government and avoid a shutdown. Their main worry is if they vote for it, will they be seen as being complicit with President Trump, right? So, Congress is feckless in both the majority and minority parties right now.
Yeah, and when you talk about staying in your lane, we're talking about the 3 branches of government, executive, judicial, and the legislative, and saying to what extent is Trump standing and getting in their lanes?
Yeah.
And to what extent do they then police their own lanes? And right now, Congress isn't doing its job, and the court can only react. Courts can't be proactive. They can't say, hey, that's unconstitutional, unless somebody brings it to them and files a lawsuit and argues the merits of something and says, hey, this is not appropriate. Will you rule on this? And then the courts are saying, sure, we'll take that up. But Congress can act preemptively. Congress can act proactively. Congress can jump in and say, stop. We control this. Give us a chance and let us do what we need to do. They're not doing that for whatever reason. And whether they're scared or whether they've just bought into the agenda, it's hard to say.
Well, part of this could be the political popularity of many of Donald Trump's executive orders.
Yeah, let's look at that.
Let's bring that back home here to Utah specifically. Utahns are, safe to say, more conservative with most social issues, and consequently, most Utah voters like what President Trump has done via executive order, specifically with women's sports, gender transitions, declaring only 2 genders. They're also supportive of President Trump releasing assassination records and reviewing AI, cryptocurrency regulations. Those are the things that Utahns generally have been happy with.
Yeah.
Greg, I'll give you the opportunity to go through the least liked list of executive orders, if you would.
Yeah, you just went through the 5 most popular.
Yeah.
Banning transgender women from participating in women's sports. 76% of Utahns support that. Declassifying records on the assassination of John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, and Martin Luther King Jr. 74% supported that. I thought that was an
Is
interesting
there
one.
a polling result on UFO records?
Yeah, there you go. We haven't got to that yet.
Okay.
Ending gender-affirming care and gender transition for those under the age of 19. 71% of Utahns support that executive order. And declaring the federal government recognition of only 2 genders, male and female. 70% of Utahns strongly or at least somewhat support that. And then the last one that you mentioned, reviewing artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency regulations. 73% strongly support. Now, to get to your question, what do Utahns not like? Let's look at the ones that the executive orders that Utahns are not too crazy about, and there are several of those too. 1, renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
Hold on. Really? What? Give me the numbers on that, Greg.
34% of Utahns support that.
Well,
who are those? I mean, 3%.
I think, listen.
Don't tell me. You're not going down that road.
Greg,
you're not going to.
I think it's kind of fun. I think it's harmless. I think it's kind of fun. And I would say I support that one. So, so count me one of the 34%.
No, okay. Dismantling the Department of Education. 41% of Utahns support that. We talked about that earlier.
So you're telling me that 41% of Utah voters support dismantling the U.S. Department of Education.
More importantly,
while only 34% of Utahns support renaming the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America?
Right. And so the majority of Utahns don't favor that either.
Okay.
Ending birthright citizenship, which grants citizenship to anyone born in the U.S., regardless of whether their parents are citizens or not. This one was a little surprising. Only 40% of Utahns support ending birthright citizenship.
I think that's probably about right, yeah.
And you know
I'm
what?
still shocked by the low support for the Gulf of America,
Yeah.
Greg.
But, 100% of the Constitution doesn't support that. It's written in the 14th Amendment. I mean, do what you want, but that's right there. Finally, withdrawing from the World Health Organization, only 41% of Utahns support that.
Interesting. I would have thought support for that would be a lot higher.
And I guess I forgot this one, the Paris Climate Accord, 44% of Utahns were upset that we bailed out of that.
Really?
Yeah.
I would assume that anything involving the words Paris and climate, Utahns would not really be supportive of.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Interesting.
I guess I was a little surprised why we were interested in declassifying records on the assassinations. But
transparency, more information is better, Greg. Coming up next, the top of the show here on Inside Sources, we are going to talk about the evolving scandal in Box Elder County. Stay right here for that.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon. It's 2 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Chaleos. KSL's top story this hour. A South Jordan man is under arrest, accused of peeking into stalls in the women's restroom at Fashion Place Mall. 2 women reported being spied on earlier this year on different days. Police used surveillance video to confirm it was the same suspect and track his car. 29-year-old Anthony Wynn could now face 2 voyeurism charges. Police say Wynn told them a voice in his head told him to look at those women. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The trade war between the U.S. and China is escalating. China has placed an additional 15% tax on American farm products in response to President Trump's decision to double tariffs on Chinese imports.
Multiple reports in Chinese state media saying that Chinese officials have summoned local Walmart executives here in China for a meeting. That's after reports that Walmart was trying to pressure Chinese suppliers to cut prices by 10%, which would essentially kind of be, passing on these tariffs. Now, Walmart, we haven't heard from them yet, but just the fact that multiple state media outlets have said this, it could be seen as a warning shot by China to Walmart by calling them out publicly.
That is ABC's Britt Clennett reporting. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow ending down by 22 points, sitting at 41,412. S&P up by 34 points. The NASDAQ up by 206. Weather isn't changing. An update of the forecast coming up next. KSL News Time, 2:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. I love the overall experience of Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, and it starts when you walk through the door. The warm welcome, and when you're taken to your table and introduced to your server. Just the attention and the anticipation of the great food. It is simply wonderful. When you look at that menu and you realize all of the steaks, all of the selections, all of the entrees, whether it's fish or poultry, you name it, Ruth's Chris Steakhouse will make it perfectly. I love it when the entree comes out and it's served on that 500-degree plate. Sometimes it's sizzling a bit. I've even had the server reach over, grab my napkin, and set it in front of me just to protect my clothing. You will love Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. The attention to detail, the delicious food. Save room for the desserts. It's all waiting for you at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, Hotel Park City, downtown Salt Lake City.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to the A to Z savings event at AutoZone.
Yeah, happy to be here. Can I get some rotors?
Would you like brake pads with that?
How much are the brake pads?
Free with the rotors.
Free. Really?
Really, free.
Okay, I also need some oil.
Would you like an oil filter with that?
Yeah, how much is that?
Free with 5 quarts of oil.
Free? Really?
Really, free. It's part of the A to Z savings event.
You might as well call it A to free.
At AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to the A to Z savings event at AutoZone.
Yeah, happy to be here. Can I get some rotors?
Would you like brake pads with that?
How much are the brake pads?
Free with the rotors.
Free. Really?
Really, free.
Okay, I also need some oil.
Would you like an oil filter with that?
Yeah, how much is that?
Free with 5 quarts of oil.
Free? Really?
Really, free. It's part of the A to Z savings event.
You might as well call it A to free.
At AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
When should you file for Social Security to get the most out of your benefits? Get the answer in a free report, your guide to filing for Social Security in 2025 and beyond. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions. If you've saved more than $200,000 and have not filed for Social Security, get your free report now by calling 801-251-1046. 801-251-1046. There's more to maximizing Social Security than filing for your benefits early or late. This free report details all of the different things you must consider that could help you get the most net income from Social Security. Wring every nickel out of your benefits that are rightfully yours. Get your free report now by calling 801-251-1046. That's 801-251-1046.
Boss Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the Social Security Administration.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Ricky, what's happening?
We have an injury accident on I-80 in Tooele County. This is on the eastbound side, even though the vehicle involved is in the grassy median. Now, eastbound I-80 approaching the SR 202 junction. Only a right lane of traffic is open at this time, and right now we have stop-and-go delays back to Lake Point, so if you can avoid eastbound I-80 or delay your travel time, consider doing so. Then on the westbound side, we do have an inside left lane blocked to traffic, so emergency crews can approach the crash from both directions. But you're not going to see any delays there, only the lane closure of westbound I-80 at the crash, and that's the left lane of travel. Common Spirit hospitals, clinics, and caregivers, all connected to advanced healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with Human Kindness is here. Hello, Human Kindness. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Expect gusty winds before a storm arrives sometime late tomorrow. Today's high 64, but tomorrow the high only 54 degrees. And on Friday and Saturday in the low 40s. Right now, sunshine, 56 degrees. I'm Maria Shilaos from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Utah's top political experts break down the first 100 days of the new administration and discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
You know, on Inside Sources, we discuss the biggest political stories of the day. Sometimes that means we discuss legal stories too, and sometimes it means talking about something that's really uncomfortable. And one of the biggest stories in Utah right now deals with allegations and charges of sexual exploitation of minors and child pornography usage and dissemination between a judge in Box Elder County and the now former Tremonton fire chief. This one, Taylor, is really disturbing to me personally on so many levels.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've practiced law for a gajillion years. And to see and hear this, and I mean, I'm going to start by saying everybody's presumed innocent in this equation.
Yeah. Can I just interrupt for one sec, Greg, as my PSA moment here? As a dad, when I heard about this story, when this story broke, I recommitted myself to having conversations with my kids. I have a 9-year-old boy and a 14-year-old boy. I recommitted myself to putting in the time and work and effort that I believe is my job as a parent, to know what they're doing online, to know with whom they're conversing online, and to review everything. And I need to know and see at all times what they're doing on a phone and on the computer. That's my job as a parent.
It absolutely is. It doesn't surprise me that you say that, Taylor. I wish so many parents would do that. I really do. Because you have predators out there all the time who are doing things and who are just waiting for somebody to take the bait. And it's just, it's insidious, and it's become so pervasive in our country with the internet and what's going on. Before we break this down too much, let's begin with KSL TV's Debbie Worthen, who has a little bit more on this in a story that she wrote.
This unfolding after Hansen was arrested on sexual exploitation of a minor charges back in January. At that time, law enforcement recommended Hansen be held without bail. But Judge Kevin Robert Christensen released Hansen on bail. At that time, the judge did not disclose the two were in a relationship and had also engaged in sexually charged chats regarding children.
And I guess I should have introduced it a little bit further. The Hansen that she's talking about there is Tremonton Fire Chief Ned Brady Hansen, who was charged yesterday in First District Court with 8 counts of aggravated sexual exploitation of a minor. What that means is sharing images. Exploitation involves the dissemination of inappropriate images of a minor. And when we talk about a minor in cases like this, we're not talking about under 18. We're usually talking about under 13. So like you said, dads, moms, be careful. These are first-degree felonies. In Utah, that means they carry a prison term from 5 years to life. And he comes on the heels of First District Justice Court Judge Kevin Robert Christensen, who's 64, who was charged with 7 felony counts involving children and obstructing justice. And the hook here is this is even hard to imagine from a legal perspective. The judge set the bail for the fire chief that he was apparently...
For this fire chief.
Right. Yeah. And released him on bail. I mean, without disclosing their relationship, without disclosing their friendship, without disclosing their inappropriate, apparently, sharing of materials and sort of sharing their wishes and desires and the things that they were thinking about. my word. I mean, both these men are in jail right now, not in Brigham City.
They have not been convicted yet. These
Correct.
are, of course, very serious allegations, but right now they are allegations.
Right. And they're both being held in, I think that the judge is in 2nd District Court in Davis County, or yes, in Farmington. And I'm not sure where the fire chief is being held. But, I mean, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. These are serious charges. These are very serious charges. And I'll tell you what, people ask me, well, are they going to face more serious charges because they're in a position of trust? Is the fact that one is a judge and one is a fire chief, which, by the way, if you are talking to your kids,
you can't trust anybody, Greg.
Aren't those the people that you would trust the most?
You can't trust anyone.
I know.
It is so sad. It's heartbreaking. Now, we have done a lot as a state. I want to give credit to Governor Cox and to our legislature for leading the nation when it comes to trying to protect our kids online. We really have done some very good things. However, it will never be enough. Do not for a second feel safe or think that your kids are safe from these kind of predators online, Greg. A judge and a fire chief, people that more often than not would have your trust.
Yeah.
Right?
And so the crimes themselves, just to answer my own question, aren't necessarily enhanced because they're of their position. In other words, if you're looking at inappropriate materials, the law doesn't really look at you too much in terms of who you are and what you are. If you're engaging in contact with children, underage children, inappropriate communications, and I'm sorry I'm being vague. I just don't like the lingo. I don't like to get into the weeds on this, and so I won't. The law doesn't care if you're
enhanced penalties.
Right,
we don't have anything like that.
Right. Except to say this. I'm glad you mentioned penalties.
Okay.
Because we don't have enhanced penalties, but we have what we call indeterminate terms in Utah. That is to say, a first-degree felony is punishable by 5 years to life. The Board of Pardons will decide how much time a person serves. A second-degree felony is punishable by from 1 to 15 years in prison. The Board of Pardons will decide how much time a person serves. You can bet that the Board of Pardons will have no sense of humor for these men. Okay. And that I believe, if they're convicted, absolutely they're presumed innocent, and I swear by that. But if they're convicted, they will serve time much more.
You think so?
Than a person who doesn't hold those positions.
Okay.
So the crime isn't different, but I believe the punishment absolutely will be.
Let's talk about the timeline, the relationship between these men. We're talking Judge Christensen. And then we're talking, I believe,
Fire Chief Hansen.
Fire Chief Hansen, Ned Brady Hansen is his full name. These two men had a relationship. They allegedly they talked to each other about sexually abusing children. They shared exploitative content featuring children, allegedly, while they were involved in a sexual relationship, these two men. Now, as you mentioned to start the segment here, Greg, Judge Christensen waived the bail for Ned Hansen, Fire Chief Ned Hansen.
Right.
So what do you know, Greg? And again, let's be really clear here. This may be a little bit speculative. These men are presumed innocent. These are allegations until they're convicted in a court of law. But Greg, what do we know about the timeline of the relationship between these two men?
Not a lot. We're learning more and more about that. But to go to what you said, law enforcement went to the judge, Christensen, and said, please hold him without bail due to the risk that he poses to children in the community and what they had on him. The judge then releases him without disclosing. And how long was that relationship going? What was the extent of the relationship? I mean, these are the things that we're going to learn. And unfortunately, Taylor, what we're going to learn is almost certainly going to be more and more problematic. The more we dig in, when I saw the picture of the judge on the news the other day and I saw his photograph, I thought, yeah, I know that judge. He's a fair man. I've been in his court. He's very good to work with. And then you find out it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. The fire chief and a relationship between the two of them, I mean,
it's tragic.
It's really tragic. When we come back after the break, let's go nuclear, if we didn't just do that, and talk about some follow-ups from the legislative session coming up next.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. For years now, I've been telling you about Kinetico soft water systems that use 2/3 less salt than the others. But I've never told you exactly how they do that. Well, there are several ways, so consider this as part one in a series. Most of the softeners out there use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer to guesstimate when to cycle, and it errs on the side of cycling too often, which means it'll burn through way too much salt way too soon. Kinetico is different. It has an all-mechanical system that measures the water precisely. No computer, no guesstimating, so it cycles only when needed. The result? Kinetico delivers perfectly soft water 24/7 using minimal salt. So why not save your lower back from carrying the 3 bags of salt when all you need is 1? Call Northern Utah's authorized Kinetico dealer, Kinetico Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake. Call them now, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com and tell them Doug sent you.
Emergency traffic continues on KSL News Radio, brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Tooele County drivers, heads up, a big heads up. Eastbound I-80 is just jam-packed. It's due to a serious accident near the 202 junction and the 201 junction. If you are traveling eastbound I-80, we do have delays back to Lake Point. A listener says it's there by the light at the Flying J, so just consider an alternate route if possible, or delay your travel time. Now, if you're traveling eastbound I-80, only a right lane is open at this time, and we could see emergency crews at the scene of this accident for quite some time. If you're on the westbound side, they are blocking a left lane of traffic, but no significant backups at this time, just a lane restriction. Wasatch Front businesses and property managers, GoPave Utah provides all asphalt repairs for your parking. For patching and paving along the Wasatch Front, contact GoPave Utah. GoPave Utah, GoPaveUtah.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Are you in search of a fulfilling career where you can work on a team that provides you room to grow, learn, and thrive every day? Focus Engineering and Surveying is looking for individuals to join their team who take pride in the customer service they provide and have a passion for their clients to be successful. No experience in engineering, CAD design, or surveying? No problem. Focus will train those who fit their team culture for rewarding careers in surveying and CAD design. If you can align with the core ideology and the Focus team culture, if you're internally driven, team-oriented, client-focused, and love personal development and growth, Focus Engineering and Surveying is the place for you. Enjoy a positive work environment and paid internship opportunities, plus fantastic benefits like great health care with 80% employer-paid premium and HSA matched up to $200 per month, 401k, vacation, even annual performance bonuses. Start your journey towards your new and fulfilling career. Apply now at FocusUtah.com. That's FocusUtah.com.
This is Derek Overstreet of the New Millennium Group and host of Stop Working and Start Living Radio. If you're close to or in retirement and you don't have a tax plan, call us right now, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. Listen, our country's been spending like never before, and the tax bill is coming soon. If you need an income tax strategy and a financial plan that will get you through the rest of your life, give my team a call, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. If you want an investment plan that allows you to keep more of your gains and pay less taxes, give us a call, 888-999-6370. My team specializes in the type of plan that will get you retired 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible. So, get a no-cost tax analysis by calling 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. My team is standing by now.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down.
get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Any Hour Services can help unclog any drain in your house, whether you have a backup, a clog, or a slow drain you want fixed. Call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Eye on the Hill 2025. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
One of the hottest topics, pun intended, Greg, because I'm very punny.
There you go.
One of the hottest topics during this year's legislative general session was nuclear energy, specifically starting off with energy in general. The big question has been, how can Utah as a state expand our energy production? We have a rapidly growing population and economy. Businesses are building, expanding, growing. We need more energy in Utah. That as much has been clear. One of the key methods that really broke through this legislative session, a key resource when it comes to energy, is nuclear. House Bill 249 set up a stage to really explore the ins and outs of nuclear power here in Utah. Now, just following the end of the legislative session, we're seeing some new polling data indicating how Utah voters really do feel about using nuclear as a potential energy source. Welcome back to Inside Sources. I'm Taylor Morgan here with Greg Skordas. Greg, walk us through this poll on nuclear energy.
Yeah, this one was really not on my radar. I didn't realize the legislature, and you're up there every day, so you were obviously had your finger on the pulse. But I didn't realize that nuclear energy was such a hot topic issue for the legislature, and that they were so, in my opinion, forward thinking. I think it's a very good thing. Utahns, as we talked about earlier, polled on how they felt about the Trump administration, some of the things they were doing. The question was asked of Utah voters, and this is a poll of, I think, some 805 registered voters conducted through the Harris X Interactive polling, February 18th through the 25th, has a margin of error of 3.1%. Utah lawmakers plan to seek approval for the construction of small nuclear reactors in this state. Do you support or oppose the plan? And those that supported it, 49%. And the opposition was less than 50% because there were 19% that didn't jump in. So the numbers are seemingly quite a bit in favor. 24% strongly support, 25% somewhat support, 13% somewhat oppose, and 18% strongly oppose. So really, what's that? 31% against, 49% in favor, 19% going, who knows? That's a little bit of a mandate, I think. That's something the legislature needs to take into account.
And Greg, those numbers have literally flipped on their heads since that question was asked here in Utah several years ago. Utahns have changed their tune when it comes to nuclear power. I want to make sure that we bring in a soundbite from one of the sponsors of key legislation this session that just ended last Friday. Senator Ann Milner was a sponsor running a bill on nuclear power that was key to the future of that power source here in Utah.
If we're going to do this in a way that we're creating baseload power that is clean and that can meet the needs of Utah, we have to begin looking at nuclear. If we're going to make sure we can meet the power needs of our citizens now and into the future, we have to begin to explore this.
Okay, Greg, immediate reactions. How do you feel? Not being KSL legal analyst or being an expert on anything and everything constitutional and legal, just as a Utah citizen, what is your immediate reaction to hearing that we as a state might invest and use nuclear power?
I think it's forward thinking. I think it makes sense. I think we need to recognize that fossil fuels are not the future and that there are alternate sources of energy that should be used. Whether
Drill,
it's solar.
baby, drill is not your favorite tagline,
Drill, baby,
you're saying?
drill is not my tagline, not something I would ever say. But I do think that nuclear is a legitimate alternate source. Certainly it's used a lot in Europe. It's used a lot in some other states, more than it is here in Utah. And by the way, as I understand it, Taylor, and correct me if I'm wrong, but House Bill 249 is really more of a, set up a study, set up a consortium, set up so that we can study nuclear. It's not necessarily let's go nuclear, but it's I don't remember. It seems like it's more of a set up a committee and let's review this and maybe come to the legislature in a year or two with a plan.
Yeah, it's almost a bit of a declaration of intent in a way. Utah stating clearly on the record that we are interested in developing nuclear power as part of our state's comprehensive energy future. We know that when it comes to building any nuclear power plant, Greg, even these smaller municipal style plants, those have kind of been all the rage lately, but we've even seen that before you can even start the process of building one of those power plants, there is a very protracted, expensive regulatory process. For example, the NuScale project at Idaho National Laboratory, that would serve some Utah cities in northern Utah, right? That already has taken over $500 million and millions of pages of documents to get that off the ground when it comes to the due diligence and the permitting and everything involved with moving forward on these plants. We've got to figure this out, though, Greg, because, look, I might be a little bit more in the drill camp on that side of things, right? But I do believe that nuclear and these modular, small municipal power plants are a great option. We have more work to do to understand them, but I love that Utah is, again, willing to innovate.
And, and it's interesting to me, just having been around for a while. And by the way, before I went to law school, I was a mining and metallurgical engineer. I was involved in the mining industry a little bit.
Okay.
And I could see the future of that at the time. Of course, that was some 45 years ago. It was also a time when in our country and internationally, we had, 3 Mile Island, we had Chernobyl, and we had a tremendous amount of fear. What was that? The China syndrome, that some nuclear reactor was going to go and burn through the planet. And people got scared of nuclear. And people also got scared of the fact that maybe countries who are developing their nuclear power capabilities were also developing their nuclear arsenal capabilities. And so nuclear was a bad word, and it has been for a long time. But I think there's a recognition that times have changed, maybe security issues have changed, and there has to be alternate sources. Utah pursuing nuclear, maybe this is an answer that you didn't expect me to say, but I'm in favor. I think it's something we absolutely have to do because it doesn't hurt the environment in the same way that burning coal does.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. Well, going back to your point, the key takeaway here, listeners, is that this legislative session, the Utah legislature passed House Bill 249, which really did set the stage to explore the ins and outs of nuclear power here in Utah. It forms a nuclear energy consortium to explore and understand that possibility. Now, Greg, I want to make sure we hit on, in what time we have left in this segment, I want to talk about the key controversy, the key question surrounding nuclear power. And that is, what do we do with the waste? Yeah. Because a nuclear power plant produces waste. But Greg, as a Democrat, I'm sure you know what else produces a waste byproduct we haven't quite figured out how to deal with yet. And that is every electric vehicle.
Be nice.
Your Tesla,
right,
your Volt, whatever it is that you drive into Salt Lake from the beautiful valley where you live, that electric vehicle has a battery.
Sure. And what are we going to do with them?
We have not figured out what to do with all those batteries in the future.
Right.
So everyone driving a Tesla, still relying on a coal-fired power plant to charge that Tesla in your garage every night, we don't know what to do with the batteries. We've got to figure that out. So I don't want not understanding what to do with the waste when it comes to nuclear power be what prevents us from exploring it.
Yeah, because that waste can be around for eons. I mean, it's something that will be around for a long time. You bury it in the desert. Well, someday you might need the desert. And what does it do as it sits there and festers? I mean, you look at some of these other countries. What are they doing with theirs? I think we need to study that further. I'm glad we're doing this in Utah. I think nuclear has a future in this state. I think nuclear has a future in this country, maybe even more than it maybe ever has, just because of changing of the times. And I hope that the Trump administration recognizes that, like the Utah legislature has.
Yeah. Coming up next here on Inside Sources, this is going to be a difficult topic for me, Greg, personal topic in a lot of ways. Former Congressman Mia Love's battle with brain cancer appears to be coming to an end. She has announced online, her family has announced that she has stopped responding to treatment. Now, Mia Love is writing her living wish, what she hopes the country will do in the future. We'll talk about that after the break.
2:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Becky Bruce. KSL's top local story this hour. We have a new snapshot of Utah's job market. The January jobs numbers were released today, and Department of Workforce Services spokesperson Jared Mendenhall tells Utah's Morning News the state is in good shape.
This is that balancing point, that Goldilocks zone that economists love looking at, where unemployment is low, but it's not too low, and job growth is consistent, but it's not overheated.
Mendenhall says the state added 32,800 jobs in the past year, and the unemployment rate ticked down to 3.2%. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, a surprise election result in Greenland as President Trump eyes the resource-rich country.
The center-right Democrat Party winning the most votes in Greenland's parliamentary elections. Their leader had previously said Greenland is not for sale. This comes as U.S. President Trump has said he wants to take control of the island one way or another. The Democrats did not win a majority, meaning they'll likely have to form a coalition government. It was a pro-U.S. party that came in second, recording its best results ever in Tuesday's vote. That party wants a snap referendum on independence and closer ties to the U.S. Inez de la Cuetara, ABC News, at the Foreign Desk.
Your money at this moment, the Dow down less than 0.1%, the S&P 500 up about 0.5%, NASDAQ up just over 1%. Coming up, emergency traffic out of Tooele County. We're going to get you those details next. KSL News Time, 2:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
You bought a house, or maybe you're building one, but it just isn't feeling like home. Not yet. AMC Building Materials has this undeniable knack for transforming a house into a home. Your home. How do they do that? They combine years of exceptional kitchen and bath creations with your ideas. In fact, customer satisfaction is their #1 priority. You know what you want. You know it's not going to be cookie cutter. And this is exactly where AMC shines. AMC delivers exceptional quality, bold-style kitchen and bath designs, along with their exceptional value and a timeline you'll love. Most projects are complete by the elite AMC professional installers in under 10 days. Immerse yourself in the beauty, function, and feel in person at the AMC Building Materials showroom in Salt Lake City. Get directions and schedule your free estimate at amckitchenslc.org. AMC Building Materials, transforming your house into a home. amckitchenslc.org.
Hey you, I knew I'd find you back in the same aisle. What are you looking for today? More fiber, more laxatives, more of the same ways to manage your constipation? Look, if your constipation with belly pain keeps coming back, you may have irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C. Ask your doctor how Linzess can help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
These days, losing weight is such a roller coaster. You try the new medications, and when you stop taking them, you gain it all back.
Today is a new day. Today is a new day.
Today is a new day. Let Soda Weight Loss teach you the healthy, natural way to let go of the weight for good.
Do you know how good it feels to let go of 51 pounds of belly fat? And I did it without drugs, shots, or hunger. Because Soda Weight Loss works. Just look at all the Google reviews and all the thousands of before and after pictures.
For a limited time, 2 people can start with Soda Weight Loss for the price of 1.
What does that mean? It's more fun?
Double the motivation, double the results, half the cost.
The best decision I've made in a long time was just to call Soda Weight Loss.
Take advantage of Soda Weight Loss 2-for-1 partner program. Visit sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
We've got emergency traffic here at KSL News Radio. Let's check in with Ricky Meese. This is brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. Ricky.
Well, traffic in Tooele County, just a mess right now. We've had a fatal accident eastbound I-80 just before the SR 201 junction. At one time, they had only a right lane of travel open. We're hoping they're going to be able to open up another lane very soon. But for now, just plan on one right lane open approaching this crash. The problem is we have heavy delays with stop-and-go speeds. Those on the main flow of I-80 go past Lake Point. And if you're on SR 36 headed northbound coming out of Mills Junction and Stansbury, hoping to join the eastbound I-80 main flow, you're going to have a wait as well with heavy delays there all the way up to that merge ramp. Then on the westbound side, we have a left lane blocked at the crash site for crews to be able to access this vehicle, which went into the grassy median. With only one left lane closed right now, westbound I-80. No significant backups, but we're hoping they have that open by the time we see the afternoon drive. If you can delay your travel time, or if you know an alternate that you can avoid the eastbound I-80 delays, consider doing so. Our 100th spring is right around the corner, and Murdoch Hyundai can help you take those curves in style. Right now, receive 2.99% for 6 years on the Tucson, Santa Fe, Elantra, or Sonata. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
It's the warm before the storm today. We're going to top out in the mid-60s with winds picking up all day long, getting stronger. Valley rain and mountain snow tomorrow with a cold front bringing that snow to the valley floor by tomorrow evening. Right now, you've got mostly cloudy skies, 56 degrees. I'm Becky Bruce from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Utah's top political experts break down the first 100 days of the new administration and discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
When she was elected to Congress to represent Utah's 4th congressional district, Mia Love became the first black Republican woman in Congress. She served 2 terms, eventually losing the 2018 election to Democrat Ben McAdams, but she's remained involved in politics. In February 2022, she was diagnosed with an aggressive form of brain cancer. And just a couple of weeks ago, Taylor, her family announced that she had stopped responding to cancer treatments and would focus on living out the end of her life instead. Yesterday, she penned an opinion piece in the Deseret News highlighting her final hopes for America. We want to talk about a few of those things now. I'm Greg Skordas alongside Taylor Morgan. Taylor, you had a little bit to do with her politically and knew her better than I did, but she was a pioneer and she was a groundbreaker.
Yeah.
I remember now looking at her bio that she was, before she took Congress, she was the mayor of Saratoga Springs.
That's right.
And then came out of sort of nowhere and became a representative in Congress. And by all accounts, she served Utah very, very well.
She did. Yeah. In my background with former Congresswoman Mia Love, is perhaps a little bit different than many might expect. You know, I'm a Republican political consultant and strategist here in the state of Utah. I'm not a real hardcore partisan, though, Greg. I really try to support good candidates and good ideas regardless of the party. And it's not my fault that most of the time it's usually the Republican Party that has better ideas and better candidates, Greg. No offense. But every now and then, there's a great candidate that steps up with some really good ideas on the Democratic side of the aisle. And so I was the general consultant, myself and my firm, for two opponents. Well, not one opponent, Doug Owens, who ran twice against former Congresswoman Mia Love. And I will tell you what, Greg, those campaigns, as any congressional campaign does with a lot of money, you tend to get in attack mode here and there. But I will say, Greg, of any candidate in any party that I have worked against from a political campaign perspective, no one has been more gracious or magnanimous than Mia Love. Tremendous experience interfacing with her and with her team before, during, and after campaigns. Nothing but respect and admiration, really, from both sides. A wonderful experience. I really appreciated the interactions I had with Mia Love and her team after the second race that Mia Love won, and won handily, by the way. That was back in 2016. Mia Love and Doug Owens, we brought them together to launch a new nonprofit organization here in the state of Utah together.
Oh, really?
And one of my favorite moments and memories of former Congresswoman Mia Love was the day that she and Doug Owens, who was then a new legislator in the state house, the day they came together at the Kem Gardner Institute to launch that organization and speak in ways that were totally aligned in their goals for the future of Utah. It was just such a wonderful day. And if anything, that in my mind, in my heart, is a legacy that Mia Love has left. That is something that has informed who I am as a person and, how I conduct, my professional life as well. So I want the opportunity here to highlight her op-ed that she penned in the Des News. I'm so excited.
Beautiful.
It really
beautiful.
is.
If you haven't had a chance, just take a minute and read it over. I mean, she sat down and wrote this. I mean, I think it would have been really fascinating if we had just had someone read it and record it for a segment. Because if you don't take the Deseret News, go online and look at this article, because she penned something that is absolutely beautiful. And she had a distinguished career. Let's face it. She had no baggage, no trauma, no issues that she had to live with.
Did I try to fabricate something?
Yeah, we were
running
working
against her. We did our best.
She was
and
shiny as you could imagine.
It did not
right,
work. Yeah,
right. And she did a good job. And she, she had a target on her back because she was a female African American Republican,
the very first in Congress.
Right.
Yeah.
But she held her head high. And I think after she left, correct me if I'm wrong, she did some media. She was a political consultant on one of the stations.
That's right.
And we saw her
for
quite
a major cable television outlet. She was a commentator, and a pundit might be perhaps a pejorative term, but yeah, she had a big role on cable news for a while there.
Yeah, let me read just a couple of excerpts from her op-ed, and this is the writings of Mia Love, and I really like this one. What makes America great is the idea that when government is limited and decisions are made closest to the people they impact, people are free to work, free to live, free to choose, free to fail, and free to achieve. The America I know provides everyone an equal opportunity to be as unequaled as they choose to be. I mean, how thoughtful. And just the fact, Taylor, that she would sit down and write this in her last days and talk about, for example, my living wish and fervent prayer for you and for this nation is that the America I have known is the America you fight to preserve, and that each citizen and every leader will do their part to ensure that the America we know will be the America our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren will inherit.
Yeah. I love how she begins this piece too, Greg. She starts out with saying, my dear friends, fellow Americans and Utahns, I'm taking up my pen not to say goodbye, but to say thank you and express my living wish. That, I think, is such a perfect way to frame this up. She goes on, going back to her piece here, she writes that as a mayor, member of Congress, and media commentator, I have seen the worst of petty politics, divisive rhetoric, and disappointing lapses of moral character by some. These same roles also provided me a front row seat and backstage pass to be blessed and inspired by the courage, vision, and hope of America's finest daughters, sons, and citizens. So she's been through it. She has seen the worst of politics and the worst of those who represent us in the halls of Congress and in the White House. But she also has seen the best side of it, and she's putting both out.
And imagine how difficult this would have been to write, Taylor. She says this: "My battle with brain cancer is coming to an end. The disease is no longer responding to treatment, and my family and I have shifted our focus from treatments to enjoying every moment and making memories with the time we have. My life has been extended by exceptional medical care, science, and extraordinary professionals who have become dear friends. My extra season of life has been the result of the faith and prayers of countless friends, known and unknown. The result of such humble faith and pleading prayers have been felt by me and by my family in ways too numerous to count. I have always believed that faith and science are inextricably connected."
Yeah. As a Utah and as an American, I'm so proud of Mia Love and of what she has accomplished and who she is and of the legacy that she has left. And, of course, our prayers and our best wishes, our love go to Mia and her family. So grateful that not only has she done so much to lead in the short time, right, that she has led and served Utah and Washington, D.C., but this legacy will continue. And she's urging all of us to do our part, Greg. And that's something that I want to stay fixated on and talk about more in the future.
Absolutely. We'll be right back.
Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. How retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing, must-visit shops. And how healthcare offices become the data managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business. Powering possibilities.
Now through April 21st, new customers can get started with 150 megabit internet and Security Edge for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get a $500 prepaid card on a qualifying internet package. Call today. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Requires enrollment in paperless billing and automatic payments with bank account. Equipment, taxes, and other fees extra and subject to change. Early termination fee applies.
Emergency traffic on KSL News Radio, brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. A fatal accident in Tooele County has tied up traffic on eastbound I-80. The crash occurred just before the SR 201 junction. Crews are still only allowing one right lane of traffic to get by, and that is why we have a parking lot passing Lake Point on eastbound I-80. If you're also trying to join the I-80 freeway from SR 36 Main Street, you will also see traffic just at a crawl, bumper to bumper, not quite back to Mills Junction, up to I-80, and then on the westbound side, a left lane is blocked by the accident. With the left lane blocked, traffic is still able to easily get by in the right lanes of travel with no big delay. Wasatch Front businesses and property managers, GoPave Utah provides all asphalt repairs for your parking. For patching and paving along the Wasatch Front, contact GoPave Utah. GoPave Utah, GoPaveUtah.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our US-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
With Progressive, renters can save on protection for the things that make your place yours, even things that don't make sense to everyone.
People always wonder why I don't get rid of my guitar since I never play. But it's like, what if I actually end up taking lessons? Sure, I've had it for 8 years, but if I get rid of it, then what will my New Year's resolution be next January?
Exactly. So bundle your renters and auto and save with Progressive and protect the things that make sense to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers not available in all states or situations, covered subject to policy terms and conditions.
Join KSL News Radio's Amanda Dixon this Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. at the Salt Lake NPS store at 1600 Empire Road. That's npsstore.com.
Get a head start on the warmer months ahead with a $29 AC tune-up from Yes Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Electric. Yes offers licensed technicians and an exceptional service guarantee to give you peace of mind and help prevent expensive breakdowns. Ensure your system is working at peak efficiency and help save money on energy costs with a $29 AC tune-up from Yes Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Electric. Call now or visit theyesmancan.com for details, terms, and conditions. Just say yes.
The following is a test of the emergency alert system. This is a monthly coordinated test of the broadcast stations and cable systems in your area. Equipment that can quickly warn you during emergencies is being tested. If this had been an actual emergency such as severe weather, earthquake, or evacuation, official messages would have followed the alert tone. This station serves the Utah operational area. This concludes the test of the emergency alert system.
You wouldn't know it, but most financial advisors are put in a box. I'm Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I want to provide you a little insight about financial advisors. Most financial advisors have to sell what their company requires them to sell, and many advisors have to only adhere to what's called a suitability standard. A suitability standard is a limited standard of care, not requiring what's sold to be best, just suitable. Advisors with this loose standard often have limited investment and product selection. Trajan Wealth is held to a fiduciary standard, which is the highest standard of care in the advisory business. And that's just one of the many reasons we have billions of dollars under our care and attract clients from other advisors. Raise your standards today and call Trajan Wealth. Call 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Utah is the 30th most populated state in the country. We're not the biggest, but Greg, we are the most beautiful. And in addition, I would argue that Utah's impact is pretty dang big. I don't always love this phrase. It's a little bit of a cliche, but when it comes to the rest of the states, Greg, yeah, we're 30th in size, but we punch way above our weight here in Utah. This is exciting because often we see our leaders here in Utah take on significant roles in national organizations and politics. In fact, one of our sitting state legislators, Wayne Harper, is the president of the National Conference of State Legislatures. That's a big deal. Before him, Senator Kurt Bramble, former Senator Kurt Bramble, was in that role. Often, Utah legislators lead that organization. Now, Riverton City Councilman Andy Perucci, who also just so happens to be married to a very powerful state legislator. I'm not going to bother him about that, Greg, in this segment. But Riverton City Councilman Andy Perucci was just appointed to the Community Leaders of America National Steering Committee. This, I think, is important, Greg, because, again, it's another example of how in Utah we punch above our weight. Last segment, we talked about Mia Love, former Congresswoman Mia Love, who was the very first Black Republican woman elected to Congress. These are the kinds of things that Utah does. We innovate and we lead, not just here in our state, but nationally. Andy Perucci is with us now live. Andy, welcome to the program. I understand you just got off an airplane, probably traveling as part of these responsibilities, I assume. Thanks for taking a few minutes to join us. Excited for this conversation. Andy, you're a busy guy. I assume you have some fatherly duties associated with your wife, Candace, being in the legislature. I assume you're busy with the Riverton City Council. What the heck are you doing taking on more responsibility with this national organization? Why do this? Why is this important?
That is a great question, Taylor. I don't
do anything halfway, and when I commit myself to something, I like to go all in. And I believe that there are a lot of different areas that we can learn information and pick up best practices. And so I like to look to my peers to find ways to be better at serving my community on the city council. And Community Leaders of America is a great organization. It's the national forum for Republican mayors, city council members, and county elected officials to come together with others and to share best practices and ideas. And so this was an opportunity for me to get engaged with a national network of my peers who share my principles and visions for how government closest to the people could and should make a difference in the lives of those that we serve. And it's already paid off significant dividends. I've picked up some really interesting ideas on public safety, and I'm looking forward to learning more and to bringing our perspective to the country.
And so, Andy, you told us about what Community Leaders of America are and what they do. When they act and when they initiate and when they meet, what happens, or what is the intent with respect to their plans and their agenda?
Yeah, so the Community Leaders of America brings together the Forum for Community Leaders. So elected officials like myself from around the country, people like the recently retired minority leader in the New York City Council, the mayor of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, the mayor of Fort Worth, Texas, and many others. And we come together and we share ideas on challenges facing our communities. We talk about issues like transportation, we talk about housing, we talk about public safety, and best practices are shared. And then we invite experts from industry, from academia, from other levels of government to come together and also share their perspective. And so it really is a forum of ideas and policy solutions that are shared on an annual basis, twice a year, in different locations around the country.
Speaking with Riverton City Council member Andy Perucci about his new leadership role with the Community Leaders of America's National Steering Committee. Andy, is this in addition to your position elected as a Riverton City Council member?
Yeah, so I'm not doing this in my official capacity because it is a group of with a political mindset. It's a partisan organization. But I am bringing my experiences as a city council member to the table. And the ideas and issues that we're facing, I'm able to share with my colleagues. For example, I talked about some of our pressing transportation needs in Riverton and learned how communities of similar size like Riverton are dealing with things like transit and collaborating with other communities.
Yeah. Andy, you're the perfect guest to put on the hot seat for this next question, okay? Because you yourself, of course, as you have said, serve on the Riverton City Council already. You're now taking on this national leadership role. Your wife, Representative Perucci, Candace Perucci, is in the state legislature, and not just a representative in the state legislature. She is a powerhouse, and she is a key leader, chair of the House Education Committee. She takes on some of the most difficult policy issues. You also both have young kids. Andy, what is in the water? And not just in the Perucci household, okay?
This is the power couple.
But what is in the water here in Utah that makes couples, Utahns, not just like you and your wife Candace, but why is it that so many Utahns like you take on so many civic responsibilities and duties? Why do you think that is, if you had to guess?
I mean, I think you nailed the answer is in the way you framed the question. It's the next generation. I mean, I was asked this question when I first threw my hat in the ring for the city council. Why would I want to do it? And it's because of my kids, Benji and now Quincy, and the others like them. We want to make sure that the world is better for the next generation than when we came into the world. And Utah has an amazing history with families. We've got incredible people, and we want to make the world a better place, and not just the world immediately around us, but the entire world. And we believe that we have ideas and solutions to help solve the challenges that we face in the world. And if we can do a little bit of good in the time that we have to serve, then all the better.
Andy, we've got about a minute left, but tell our listeners where you go from here, where this committee is, when it's meeting, what the agendas are, and what you expect to do and accomplish in the next year.
Yeah, great question. So my first official act on this committee will be to go to the first forum in Columbia, South Carolina this year, where we're going to learn from the mayor and other council members in Columbia and then other leaders from around the country on all these different issues. And I'm looking forward to really diving into some challenges that we're facing in Riverton as it relates to paying for water and paying for fire, and learn how they're tackling those problems. And I'm going to bring some perspectives that I've had recently from public safety and dealing with some of the challenges related to immigration in our community, and share those perspectives with my colleagues. They've asked for me to bring that feedback to them. So I'm looking forward to that. There's also going to be opportunities to engage with the White House Intergovernmental Affairs.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That's Riverton City Council member Andy Perucci. Thanks for listening to Inside Sources. Stay right here for more news with Maria Chaleos.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon. It's 3 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Chaleos, sitting in today for Jeff Kaplan. It's sunny in downtown Salt Lake City and 59 degrees. KSL's top story. The community in Box Elder County is